Down to one of the country's most iconic legends who left a legacy of love, of tolerance, of change through music. Very shortly we will be talking to his former tour manager who has written a book in his honor. We will chat to her about the content of the book and the inspiration behind it. There you have it, that's the book that we'll be discussing shortly. But for now, here's a reminder of Lucky Dube's music that we so miss here in South Africa.
They won't build no schools anymore. All they build will be prison. They won't build no schools anymore. All they build will be prison.
That's a tribute to Lucky Dube. Listening to those lyrics, they won't build any schools anymore. All they will build will be prisons. The social commentary of that man is second to none. Well, it's almost 8 years since the passing of the reggae star Lucky Dube. The musician was, without a doubt, one of South Africa's iconic stars who left a legacy of love, tolerance and change through music. His former tour manager, Lenah Mochoele, gives us a story of the spiritual journey through her book dedicated to the legend. It's titled Walking a Mile in Your Shoes. She joins us now to share on the manuscript. A very good morning to you, Lenah. It's a huge pleasure to have you with us.
Good morning, Ayanda, and thanks for having me.
You knew the man on a personal level. What was he like?
Lucky Dube was a son of the soil, spiritual, highly spiritual, a loving father, and a good mentor to the many people around the world.
And these values that he speaks of, I mean, just listen to that song, I'm a Prisoner, you know, and what he talks about. Are those the sort of conversations he would have, or would he have some light-hearted conversations as well and talk about frivolous things?
Lucky was a balanced person. He had time to be humorous. He had time to be strict. He had time for everything that he did. His prophetic work talks for itself.
Talking about your book now, Walking a Mile in Your Shoes, what sort of elements of Lucky Dube do you touch on?
The emotional side of him that people never got to know. The personal character of him and the business side.
Now, he is someone who, as I said a little bit earlier, was not just famous in South Africa. I mean, now we know SABC broadcasts to over 50 countries on the African continent. Lucky Dube was well loved, well received throughout the world, not only on the continent.
Yes.
What was he like when it came to interacting with people outside of South Africa?
He was a shy person, and for that he put humor before everything else, so that he could be a light-hearted person. But he was a shy person, but strict at the same time.
Why did you decide to honor him in this manner?
The story of Lucky Dube is a story of gallantry. It's a story that we can never. I couldn't afford not to tell the story. To close the gap between family and his fans, who never got to know the man behind the music. Family knew him on a personal level. I've gotten to know him at an emotional level, at a business level. So I'm closing those gaps to say if he wasn't able to tell his children that he loved them so much, he used to tell us that. We know all the stories of his children growing up with him.
Mm-hmm. Do you think he's celebrated enough in South Africa?
Not enough at all. Lucky Dube belongs to the world, and the world continues to honor him. It's just South Africa doesn't understand what they have lost in the man. That's why every other time that we get the band to work, it's all international shows and no South African shows.
Mm-hmm. And what's your objective when writing this book? You did mention you want to close the gap between family and the fans, and also, share whatever messages are outstanding to tell the children just how much he cared about them and so on. But this book, what are you hoping that it will achieve over and above that?
To make people understand that we are responsible for each other. I took one special gift from Lucky when he fell, to discern, to be able to stand for yourself and believe in the things that make you as a person, and not rely on others to, convince you that, the political situation today is like this, tomorrow it changes, it's socio-economic, and you always, rely on others. So discernment is what I am actually advocating.
You touched on politics, you touched on the spiritual aspects of things, you touched on socio-economic conditions. Who are you targeting with this book? Because it's such a myriad of issues that you're bringing up. Who's your target market?
It's everybody, from young, middle-aged and old. For the young, they need to know where our history started, especially the heritage of the music industry in South Africa, where it is at the moment. And I challenge all the other people who have worked with giants like Miriam Makeba. Where is her legacy today? Where is Jabu Kanyile's legacy? Aren't we responsible, all of us, to carry on their work when they can no longer talk for themselves? And I'm saying in this book that we are all responsible citizens of our country. So let's act together, do things together. I can steal from a wise man who says, your legacy is measured by what happens when you are dead. And therefore I'm saying, I couldn't have worked with Lucky, and when he fell, there's nothing I can do for him. I am honoring him, and all the other South Africans should take their parts in honoring our legends.
Let's talk about the state of reggae music in South Africa. Where do you think the genre is at the moment?
It's suffering because it's no way. People decide to play what they want to play. Media also plays a huge part in this. To say, there's material out there, but it never gets that attention that it deserves. And therefore, you would think that there are no reggae artists in South Africa when there's lots of them. So the media also plays a part in ensuring that the music gets played and gets the exposure it should get, and all the time.
Let's hope that your book will also go a long way to reaching those ideals that you've highlighted. How do we get our hands on it?
It's available as an ebook as we speak on lulu.com. It's also available on Amazon and the many other online stores that is available. The hard copy will be available. It's available for the media, but will be available in stores this coming Friday.
And we do wish you well, and thank you so much for making time to come and see us. It's so ironic that this also comes at a time when I believe there was an individual from Nigeria, if I'm not mistaken, who was also choosing to remember Lucky Dube by sort of singing his songs as well and playing some of the tributes to him. So let's just hope that the memory will linger on and will live on, and we will not forget our own.
We can't afford to forget Lucky Dube, especially the many messages that he's left. It's sitting somewhere in the archives of the SABC and in the libraries. So let's get our hands on it and learn what made him a successful person he was.
You know, I want to wrap this interview, but I can't go without asking you. You spoke about discernment and the spiritual aspect of Lucky Dube and the prophetic as well. Speak to us about some of the things that he may have foretold in his music that perhaps we're seeing manifesting today.
5 years after our democracy, Lucky wrote a song which is my favorite song, Guns N' Roses. In this song, he shares with us that yesterday we were judged by the colors of our skins, and today we are judged by the colors of our flags. And true to that premonition, it is happening today. We are so divided. We are so divided by the flags of the many political parties that have emerged. You know, there's no brother and brother saying, let's come together and form this one big political party. But we all want to be politicians. We all want to go into parliament. And for that, that song was prophetic 5 years after our democracy. Now we are 21 years into our democracy. This is only happening today.
My
so,
goodness.
yeah, the prophetic messages that he's left in all his songs, not only Guns N' Roses, crime and corruption. They will build more prisons. They won't be building schools. And who was he referring to? It's us. It's not the government. The government on its own can't achieve all of this. We are all involved. We are all in this together. That's what he used to teach.
Speaking about the socioeconomic conditions, okay, you know, we will definitely wait. I know the media is privileged enough to be able to get the hard copy sooner than others, but I know that you did mention it will be in stores. In the meantime, lulu.com, Amazon, and also online stores is where you can get your hand on that book. It is entitled Walking a Mile in Your Shoes. Lenah Mochoele, very good to have you with us. Thank you so much. We're going to play out with that song, Guns and Roses, just to leave that memory in our minds. Thank you so much for your time.
Pleasure.